All right, everyone. Today we're going to, we still have a few more people coming in. Today we're going to be covering and focusing on how Teamcenter content management is going to reduce publishing technical documentation time. So I guess we'll give maybe 1 or 2 minutes for a few more people to come in, but then we'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to brainstorm any questions. We'll leave some time at the end for any questions that you guys might have. There should be a way to message them in the chat. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So reducing time publishing with technical documentation integrated inside of Teamcenter content management. So thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Dominic Santoro. I'm a pre-sales engineer at CAD IT. I'm actually in the US, so I'm over in the CAD IT US branch. However, we all work together and we all collaborate. And today we're going to be going through an introduction of the company, giving you a little bit more insight of where we focus in industries and where we're located. We're going to cover what traditional content management looks like traditionally. And then we're going to go through the benefits of using one of our solutions that we offer through with Siemens Teamcenter Content Management, and specifically inside of the content management suite, how revision control, collaboration, and publication in an adaptable way really brings a lot of value to handling all of the content that you might have at your organization. Then we'll go through an overall summary again, and then we're going to have questions for time for questions at the end. So feel free to brainstorm your questions throughout the presentation, and then we'll leave 5 to 10 minutes at the end for any questions you guys might have. So who are CAD IT? CAD IT, we're a global organization. So we are a privately held group exceeding 600 employees worldwide. We have our main headquarters in Singapore, and then we have other offices inside of Europe and Asia, and in my case, North America, with our office in Carolina. We have plenty of international awards, as well as specialization in Industry 4.0, design, simulation, manufacturing, and then in today's case, we're covering PLM, SLM, and technical publication area of interest. So our partners include Siemens, which is going to be the creator and implementator of Teamcenter, which we'll be covering today. Cortona 3D, which if you've seen some of the other webinars or some of the other solutions, Cortona 3D creates the technical publication suite that integrates inside of Teamcenter. So we'll be referencing these two companies and these two tool sets today quite a bit. And then we have other partners as well to really bring a broad set of solutions to the end user. We also cover a broad set of industries. So it's pretty linear across the board. We do focus on, with some of the regulations, aerospace and automotive, and a little bit more detail, but we do cover all of the industries given our solution set. So diving in a little bit more to how we provide solutions and services. We bring together not only our experience, but that tool set that I mentioned. So we focus on the service lifecycle management. So this is, of course, start to finish. So we have a ton of different SLM solutions that we offer in terms of products. And then we also have SLM services. So we do offer this 3D technical publication suite. We offer the portal for customers to view the publications. Then we also offer consulting and outsourcing and training to get you guys completely implemented and set up on these solutions. As I mentioned, some of the tools, Siemens Teamcenter, which we'll be covering today. We have the different XML editors and the different authoring suites that will fit into the Teamcenter environment. And then building on top of all of those solutions, we have IoT, Siemens MindSphere, as well as augmented reality solutions that can be built on top of the service lifecycle platform. So in essence, we offer kind of a start to finish. We keep in mind all the downstream applications in our solutions so we can offer a full and complete package. So enough about us. We're going to cover traditional, we're going to jump right into traditional content management. And traditionally, we maybe aren't talking about our RapidAuthor or our authoring tool set, but for today's example, inside of the Teamcenter environment, we will cover, of course, just standard 2D, maybe text or manual data, but also I'll mention Cortona's catalogs and manuals and work instructions and so on. So if you haven't seen the other webinar, if you aren't familiar with what these tools are, these are interactive publications that, again, the tool is available right through Teamcenter. So I'm not going to focus too much on this solution, but want to show how this solution can incorporate inside of the Teamcenter environment instead of just standalone as a raw authoring tool. So traditionally, content is organized, whether it's the RapidAuthor tool, the RapidAuthor publications that I just mentioned, or standard publications that you might have at your organization. Traditionally, they're just organized in a set of folders, maybe with an Excel sheet that has the guide to all of the different libraries and where all the information is held. You also have, maybe some other Office tools to let you know where things are when they've been published, what revisions they are, as well as the publications maybe being in some of these types of files as well. So maybe you have Word document as a publication, as well as kind of using that to organize revisions as well. So we'll call this an open workflow. So really, when you're bringing engineering data, when you're starting to make your publications, you are manually entering your data. And when you manually enter your data, it's going to be a snapshot of where the data was at that point in time. So your content is really going to be a file library complete with kind of a snapshot of when that document was looked at from the publication tool. And then when you work with the technical publication, that process is similar, definitely, across the board, whether you're working within Teamcenter Content Management or in maybe a standalone open workflow, as we're talking about now. But then when you publish, you're again taking another snapshot of that information and exporting it for internal or external use, maybe adjusting the language, going through and fine-tuning the publication for the end user manually. And so, no matter how many times you have to make the same change, if you notice something's wrong, you're going to have to go through all of your publications, and you won't have these overlaying settings, this overlaying kind of automation applied. It's going to be all manual. And then, of course, your end user accesses and reviews the content in a very conventional form as well, so just the raw file. So why is this method becoming out of date? Really, the content management needs to update to manage the rising complexity of industry. So across the board, we have products becoming more complex. We have shorter development cycles, more changes throughout that cycle, and more variants available to the end user. So if you think of the automotive space alone, with cars, how many options they have, as well as how many recalls there are, and just everything that might change from the start of the project to the project, becoming out of date. So it could be a 20, 30 year span of the life of a product. On the user, we have a wide range of formats, different languages, as a lot of organizations are global, as well as a variety of different types of new media. So we're breaking into, I mentioned augmented reality, but even just mobile platforms versus desktop platforms, and really having different media forms to digest the content. So all in all, rising complexity in the product results in a needing for the update in how we organize the content. So improving the content with Teamcenter Content Management. So we talked about the kind of open workflow, conventional, what the conventional workflow would look like. Now we're going to talk about what the solution would look like with Teamcenter Content Management. So starting with a closed workflow, keeping everything connected to each other and in sync with each other. So starting with engineering data, bringing in the engineering data that is inside of the Teamcenter environment, bringing that into the technical authoring suite, which is also inside the Teamcenter environment, links the two together. So when you're done editing with your content, whether it's a catalog or whether it's a manual or whether it's just a simple image, maybe you extracted a 2D image from a 3D exploded view inside of your authoring suite. All those pieces of information can be organized in the content management suite, and they're live and they're active, connected to the engineering data. So you're going to be building your authoring tools, connecting them together in different books, and then you're going to be publishing them. And the publishing, of course, happens within Teamcenter as well. And so when you get to the end user, this information, if it needs to be changed, whether it's maybe the authoring change, we want to add a little bit more data, maybe a little bit more insight on how to do a certain step, a certain service, whether it's a content change, maybe we need to, create a book in a different language, or maybe it's an engineering change, something all the way in the beginning, an engineering recall, and we need to redesign something. Any change throughout this whole process will be able to be updated in the end user, the end booklet, the final publication will be updated. So it's a really, and it's a closed workflow. So whether you have one person going through start to finish, which would be very rare, I would say, in a real world application. More realistically, you have many people coming in and out of this process, right? Different engineering teams, as you have authoring teams, different managing teams that need to accept the publication. And then, of course, end users that are out of your reach, customers and service members that might be inside your organization, but they're out of your reach in terms of they would never have access to the whole workflow, as well as someone who's being introduced to the data for the first time. So internally, to get up to speed, being able to access this whole workflow inside of Teamcenter. So that's the workflow. The benefits, as I mentioned some already, but focusing on the actual the value benefits. So organizing, combining, and publishing all your content within Teamcenter. So you'll have your library of all the different publications, being able to combine them and publish them inside of Teamcenter. Again, they're going to be in sync, linked to your engineering data. You'll actually be able to see what engineering data is inside of which publications inside of Teamcenter. It's not hidden or anything. You'll be able to see exactly what the publication is composed of. You'll be able to search and leverage the Teamcenter's impact analysis and impact awareness tools. So if you are thinking about making a change to an engineering piece of engineering data, or if you're thinking about making a change to a publication, you can very quickly see how many books are going to be affected by your change in a publication or a change in engineering data, just as it is in Teamcenter with all the way to assembly and design, the same concept of understanding where everything is. If you search for one piece, understanding what that will impact. So really powerful tool there. Incorporating your publications to workflows. So we have engineering workflows, and now we have the ability to send around publications before being finalized and before being published, before locking them and publishing them in Teamcenter Content Management. You can send them around to the people who need to get their eyes on them, and then also record that they did approve or disapprove of your publication. So being able to collaborate not only during the publication, the review process, but also in post-publication, being able to very easily collaborate on and maybe make changes and updates and comments to content that's already published, and doing so via previews right inside of Teamcenter. So you don't need to launch a PDF, or you don't need to launch an HTML file. You can view them right inside Teamcenter with previews. And then lastly, revision control, which is huge, of course, and language variations and translations, really all the different small changes that you might make to a publication. You can do so in Teamcenter very easily. So you'll have your broad top level publication, and then inside of that, you can have the English version and the Spanish version, and maybe the version for this industry, the version for that industry, this company, that company, and so on. So you have all of your different versions that might be composed of very similar data, but you have them kind of organized nice and neat in a library of its own. So we're going to look at some short videos of what the process would actually look like, because I have been talking a lot about the benefits. And so we're taking a kind of a look at inside of the Teamcenter environment, what it would take to create a book. The process is just opposed to creating a folder, it's going to be just a little bit more upfront work of inputting specific names, revisions, titles, and really just some of the other information that you'll be able to leverage downstream in searching and so on. So here we have just the creation of a manual, the revision selection, and then we'll see as we create it being launched into our library. And then from here, creating our top level book. From here, we're able to create sub pages and edit the structure. So here we're seeing creating children, and again, selecting topic types, languages. This is where you would go and select all that kind of those slight differences between the topics upon creating your book map. So this could be done before authoring or after authoring, and then this would be populated with all of your authoring data. So those catalogs, those manuals that we were talking about, that might be in the Rapid Author Suite, those would be able to be dragged and dropped and referenced inside of this book map. And so the key is that you're only referencing it, so then that link is made so you can go ahead and populate 5 or 10 different books with with the same library of information, kind of all pointing back to the same piece of information. So just scrubbing forward a little bit in the video. So here we're editing and we're adjusting the tree. So now we're kind of creating sub pages, and then we're jumping in and editing. This is a 2D environment. So this is just an XML editor, which again is going to be checked out of Teamcenter and then worked on and then brought back in. But at this time, it would be maybe 2D, or it could be one of the 3D solutions, one of the Rapid Author tools that we talked about earlier. It would be the same process for the 3D data as well. So you would make your changes and you would be able to bring that, check it back into Teamcenter. And now we have kind of our conventional view where we have our viewer on the right as we select each of the different publications. So now we're kind of very aware of where everything is, and it's very easy to understand and make changes and check in and check out the different chapters and the different sections. And then going through here, and this would be where we would publish the topic. So that's kind of what the organization looks like, but a more in-depth view of working with the content. So here on the top right, we're seeing a leverage of the search feature. So going through and then on the left, we see all of our filters. So a really powerful search filter. So we have different types, all the different metadata that we can have attached to really 2D or 3D or really any information. So here bringing up any of the relevant tools via search, going through and being able to identify and then preview the publications right here inside of Teamcenter, not having to load them up to necessarily make changes. And then just jumping ahead a little bit to the collaboration. So once we identified a piece that we want to edit or maybe just collaborate with, we'll jump to the next slide and show opening up the tool and collaborating with it inside of Teamcenter. So we call this markup, and I'll go ahead and play this video here. So we're seeing on the right, we have the preview. So of course you can launch this and edit this inside of a 2D or 3D environment, or with Teamcenter, we can create markups separate from inside of the actual publication. So I think that separation is something to discuss and something that's pretty powerful. So here we can just call out some of the changes and then send this through a workflow, just as you would with engineering data, conventionally with maybe a drawing view or something before publishing the drawing. We have the same format and the same workflow incorporated with the publication. So here we're selecting which template, which targets, so what pieces of information are going to be sent around, and then what users we want to send this information to. So here we have a list of all the people in our team, and we'd be able to drag and drop, and I assign the workflow to as many people as we would need. So this is all configurable, to each organization, but it really is a simple process to send a potential change around to anyone who needs to see a potential change. So jumping ahead, adding some comments, applying these to the specific, in this case, it's 2D information. However, the image that you're seeing on the right could be taken from a 3D image, 3D piece of information, which is inside of the Teamcenter environment as well, which therefore can be updated without having to redo, go and launch an external CAD software. It can all be done right in the technical publication suite. So that's what the collaboration looks like. And then publishing. So publishing, of course, is done right inside of the Teamcenter environment as well. And from here is where you get to select PDF or HTML or standard print or 2D, 3D PDF, maybe combinations of both. Not only are you going to be publishing the tool inside of Teamcenter, but also it's going to be organizing the publication inside of Teamcenter. So this keeps track of all your publications and still allows them to be searchable. So they will eventually find themselves obviously in the customer's hands outside of Teamcenter. But what you have inside of Teamcenter is a start to finish engineering data to authoring suite to the publication, so that if you do need to make a change, you're able to jump in at any time during the process and make the change. So here we're seeing a simple kind of a 3D publication of this tool from inside of from a Teamcenter environment. Talking about high level benefits of the Teamcenter Content Management Suite. So kind of focusing on what the benefits would be over doing this in standalone. So of course, we're reducing publication time just because it's a software that's designed to start to finish create publications. Also achieve compliance and safety objectives. So we're able to organize the publications in the industry standards that you need. And of course, you're going to be able to customize your Teamcenter environment with attributes that are specific to your organization. So you'll be able to incorporate any of the compliance or safety concerns. We'll be able to save costs during content creation. Obviously not focusing necessarily on the tool that's designed for content, but when you need to make a change, it's a really efficient and really reliable process so that anyone can jump into the closed workflows we showed earlier and make a change to, again, the engineering data or the authoring data, and really see that change be shown through the publication in a matter of seconds.